to Dorkside Cookies. Today we're going to do a setup guide to the Big Book of Madness. Now, in the bite-size review, we talked about how much we like this game. We don't have a name for this series yet, so if you have a cutesy, pastry-related name for our setup guides, post it underneath. Today we have Leiden, and he's going to help us walk through the setup of the game. This game is 2 to 5 players, so in a 2-player game, it's going to be, I think, a little bit faster, and the players are going to get more actions, because no matter how many players, there's always going to be 6 monsters. So when you open the box, the game is already pre-sorted the way you need to do this kind of setup. So this should be pretty quick for you. So go ahead, take everything out of the box and kind of sort it the way that we have here. Obviously we have everything centered just a little bit more for the camera, but even if we were just playing a normal game, like you presumably are at home, this should be pretty good. Your 1 element cards, so right, these are the different element cards with the number 1 on them. You're going to want those separate from the rest, because at the end of setup, they're going to go back in the box, anything that you don't end up using. Other than that, we have our covers, our monsters, we have our end page, we have some of the spells organized. This is pretty much everything from the box on the table. And with that, Leiden.
All right. The first step is going to be to set up the madness deck, right? So looks like this witch tied up or whatever. And you just pick a number that's appropriate for the number of players you have. In a 2-player game, it's 20 madness cards, so.
Is it a certain number per player, or is it from a chart?
Oh no, there's a chart here. So they say for 2 it's 20, for 5 it's 35.
Okay.
Not sure how they balanced it, but I just do what the chart tells me. All right, next we're gonna make sure we got the curse card set up correctly. There's 5 types of curses out there, right? You got curses centered around the green color, curses centered around the red color, blue, white, and then you also got a 4-color curse. So you just set them up to the appropriate decks. You can also set out these like little tokens. Some of the curses will add their effect to all the other curses, and that's what the tokens are for. Set those out. Okay, so then next we're going to pick out our basic spells. You got spells like combustion, ice, growth, telepathy. They're easy to find. They got these white borders around them. The other spells you buy, they got black borders. So you just grab the white spells, make sure everybody's got 1 copy for themselves. All right, so next we're going to want to set up our element cards that we build our decks with. You're going to see that there's numbers for each card. We got our 2s, we got our 3s, and you just split them up into the different colors by the different numbers.
And these are all the same, right? All the 3s are the same, all the 2s are the same. That's something that I think is pretty interesting compared to most deck building games, is the cards in our decks are effectively all the same.
I'm used to deck building games being like you're grabbing, it's like Magic the Gathering, you're grabbing a card that does a thing, and then you're going to play that card later, right? But no, these are the spell cards are what do all the things. Your deck building is the mana you're going for to do the things you want to do with. It's a different approach, takes a little different thinking.
Yeah.
I like it. But yeah, so it's basically setting out your mana cards, right? All right, after that, we take our wizard, right? You get this wizard deck here. Rich could probably talk a little bit more to it than I could. Obviously, Harry Potter inspired, but I'll go with this one. The quintessential Harry Potter's got giant round glasses.
All right, so the thing to keep in mind when you're choosing your wizards is that each wizard has a focus of a particular element. And having played a few games, I would just advise you to try to get the group to agree to each play different elements. Now, in our case, we're playing 2 players. I don't know if that's going to hurt us or help us because of the fact that he's going to be, is that air?
Well, mine's a little rounded.
They're all a little rounded.
Well, I mean, some are more rounded than others. He's really strong in earth. He's going to start with 5 earth mana. He's pretty good in air. 1 mana of the 2 air, and then 3 of the white air, and then water and fire. He's kind of not really there.
Then I'm going to, mostly just because she is on the cover of the box, I'm going to choose the redhead. And because redheads are obviously affiliated with fire, she's a fire mage. She also has a bit of life and then the other elements. So I'll take her.
Oh yeah, she's a good one.
Now, the rest of them, you can just put these aside back in the box. However, on the backs of the cards is a turn summary. If you're playing with a relatively small number of players, I recommend taking the leftover wizards and just keeping them out. So we're going to each keep out a copy of these. Like, we've only played a few different games, and having that reminder is, I think, helpful without having to flip your mage over. So put these back in the box. Now, at this point in the game, are we supposed to take our mana for our decks?
Yep. Right now, we're gonna go ahead and build your starting deck, and you just follow the numbers here. They tell you how the strength of the mana card and how many of them you take.
All right. So
I get one of these. You get one of these 2s here. A couple of these 3s.
Now, an important thing to keep in mind is the only time you will ever get a 1 mana card is at the beginning of the game. After this point, we're going to put all of the 1s back in the box, and we won't have any more option for them.
All right. Did you get all your mana?
I did.
Okay, let's go and get that back into the box then. All right, you feeling good about your mana? Can I get you're all right with me moving on to the next step?
Let's move on.
All right, let's move on. Next, we're going to go ahead and build our grimoire. Pretty easy to build. You start off with the ending page of the grimoire. Pretty straightforward, just says the end of it. They only give you 1, so start with that. Next, you build the book itself. The book is made up of these monsters are going to be coming out of the book. And you can tell you got the right ones because they're going to have a reward and a penalty on the back of each one. You just mix it up real quick, draw 5 at random. Put the rest away. Then we put the cover of the book on there. Pretty easy to spot that. Monsters are all the same, but they got the little lock on the front there. Just pick 1 at random. Now we have our grimoire. We're ready to move through the different rounds. Next step is we build our spell deck. The spell decks that we can buy throughout the game. Yeah.
All right. The spell decks are separated by element, and what you're going to see is that there's 3 1s, 3 2s, and 3 3s. Now, when you first open the game, they're actually already sorted like that, so that's pretty nice. And what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to take a random 3. All the other 3s go back in the box. A random 2. And then a random 1. And that's your spell deck. And you can just flip that top card immediately up front. All right, same thing with the other colors. Now, this is a cooperative game, and in my opinion, it's sort of a light cooperative game, right? This is not as difficult or complex as, say, Arkham Horror. Having said that, if you're not satisfied with how random, just sort of randomly choosing 1, 3, 1, 2, and 1, 1, you're welcome to go hardcore and just really shuffle this, or really make the other person pick one out, or however you want to do it. I don't have these cards memorized, so this is random enough for me. And the rest go back in the box.
All right, so now we're good with the spell deck, or the spell decks that we buy from as the game goes. Next, we set up our round tracker. It's kind of neat. They got built in right here, like the different difficulty levels. You got your level 1, your level 2, your level 3. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, these symbols here, these card symbols, these are just the extra number of curses you get when you flip a page. So level 3, you get a bunch of extra curses, even from the very first round. And at the easy level 1, you get a couple breather rounds. So I like how they handle difficulty there. That's interesting. We place the invocation marker on its starting position. So it's the little bookkeeper you get. Make sure your element tokens are laid out with your curse cards. Some of the curses will add their element value to the other curses on the board, and that's when you use those. And then last, you pick your first player. Rich, if you want, you can go.
Yeah.
And that's it. We're ready to go.
Okay, so we've finished setting up the game, and I have the first player token. We're going to play 1, maybe 2 rounds, close off this video, and then we're going to do a second video where we play through the entire game. You're welcome to sit with us, watch us hopefully win. It'd be sort of embarrassing if we don't.
Wouldn't be the first time.
That's why in the setup video, we're not going to play the completion. So you don't know. You know, we're experts here. We're
just going to go through a round or two and kind of show how it's played. Now we start off with, what is it now? 6 cards in our hand.
6 cards.
It's always 6 cards, right?
Always 6.
Yeah, okay.
So shuffle your mana deck if you hadn't already, and deal yourself 6 cards. And then
there's like no reason to hide these cards. We're working together anyways, right?
That's pretty much true. Now that is, if you've played a lot of games, especially like cooperative games or just new games at conventions, things like that, you're going to see a lot of people play with their hands down. Typically in our cooperative games, you can do whatever you like in your group. A lot of times we will play with our hands down. That way we can all kind of look, and we can. We're really all about teamwork in a lot of these kind of games. All right. So starting out, let's do our thing. So again, just to go over the theme of the game, right? So we are rebellious students who are tired of homework. We've gone into the basement because we've been told never go into the basement, and we're going to open the book, which we've been told never to open the book. So
typical.
Yeah, this is obviously the series is going to outdo Harry Potter. All right, so we open the book. I'm sure there's powerful magic in here, and there's not. Mm-hmm. There is a gelatinous cube.
Now, if we succeed or fail, all right, that's this part right here, right? Yep.
So there's a few important parts of this setup. Number 1, we do whatever this says.
Oh boy.
So each player discards 1 card. Mm. Now, every time we discard, we get a little bit closer to having to add madness into our deck. So.
Okay. So looking ahead, now these are the curses we're also going to have to defeat for this guy, right?
They are. Yep. So
I've got a bunch of green and some blue here. I almost have no white. My instinct would be I'll discard my white so I can try to defeat the blue and the green. But you don't have a lot of white either.
I don't have a lot of white either. However, I have only 2 white cards in my deck. How many white cards do you have in your deck?
If I draw everything, unlikely, I could defeat that white.
I'm going to recommend you keep your white.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I'll discard my blue. I can see you already have a few of your blue out.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll discard my blue.
Okay.
Not perfect, but...
Unfortunately, this monster has no fire curses to beat, so my advantage doesn't count here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so now we take one of the blue cards, right? We put it...
Oh, and I will discard a... Well, I guess I'll discard a fire card.
Does it matter what order we put them in? Do we have to like follow this order?
We do have to follow that order.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So, then we see here on our round tracker, like the hat eagle isn't on top of a card, so we don't add any more cards to this.
Now, just to finish reading the rest of the card, so on the other page from the monster image, it's going to tell us what happens if we fail to defeat all 3 curses by the time the next monster shows up. And it's going to tell us what we get if we did defeat all the curses. The other thing it tells us is it tells us what elements we should expect next monster. In this case, there's an air, a water, and an earth, same actual items, which means, unfortunately for me, again, as a fire mage, I don't have much to fight, but I'm sure I'll have lots of stuff in future turns. Other than that, we can...
I guess we got to start. We got to try to beat this guy.
We got to start, so... all right.
Oh, boy. Okay, so I forget, when does this move?
So, that moves at the beginning of each turn. So,
okay.
So
you're first player.
So technically, right here, I moved it to 1. So I'm first player, the monster flipped over, these things are happening. So at this point, there's no curse to defeat. But air is the next curse. And that's unlikely, in fact, pretty much impossible for us to do anything. Oh, I'm sorry, I called it air, it's water. The next one's water. And that's simply not going to be solved, at least this next pass.
Well, we got some actions here. You can place a card from your hand into support. Maybe just getting ready for this guy. Save up some. Maybe Maybe we accept that we know we're not going to really beat this card.
So my focus is if you can't defeat this, and again keep in mind, we win the game by defeating the last monster.
Yeah.
Not this monster. So if we fail to defeat this monster, it gets a little bit harder, but we don't have to defeat any of the monsters except the last one.
That's pretty that's pretty crazy. Part of this game is actually just like, what can I do to survive right now? Because I just need to be a success at the last turn.
Having said that, I really want to try to defeat this because I think we can do it.
Well, for me, it's going to be pretty hard because, right, to draw a card, I have to spend a green. Right, that's how that spell growth works. Draw 1 card by spending 1 green. So it's a little counterproductive for me. It's going to be very hard for me to beat this card.
Yes. But not ever. You might be able to defeat it at some point. Just maybe not before.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to go. So what do we have here? I'm not going to be able to defeat the water. You're not going to be able to defeat the water.
Well, yeah.
I could use ice to put cards into support. And what am I can't defeat air ever. And I can't ever defeat water. And I can't ever defeat life. Well, no, I could defeat life. I'm just not likely to. So let's go ahead. I'm going to spend 2 water mana to get another water mana. I just think it's important for me to start building up these higher numbers. Otherwise, I'm never going to be able to help in this monster. Then I'm going to go ahead and cast Growth to draw a card. That wasn't helpful whatsoever.
Oh, wow.
Having you do an action, does that make sense?
No, not this round.
Really?
Well, I mean, the things I'm looking at is like I want to bank the white card. Maybe get ready for this next monster.
Okay.
Because I can get 4 white in my hand. I forget, at the end of your turn, do you have to discard all the greens?
No. You don't have to discard anything ever.
Okay, so I can just hold on to them, maybe draw more greens. Yeah, that's all I was going to do is bank the white and kind of get ready for the future.
Okay. Then what I'm going to... You know what? I'm going to cast telepathy anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Give you an action.
Okay.
Because I want to clear out this card out of my deck. Or out of my hand.
Yeah, so you can keep drawing. Okay. Well, since you use telepathy on me, that gives me an action. So I'm going to spend my blue so I can use ice. I'm going to place this card. How do they call it specifically? They call it support. Yeah, so if you notice on your character sheets here, they got these like kind of like grayed out card shaped spots. That's your support area. And that's what happens. You put that here. In a way, it's almost like your hand's getting bigger. Because when I draw back up to 6, I've got this 7th card here in support.
Yep.
And so maybe I can use it later to try to, maybe I can build up to my 4 and knock this out. Or maybe it just gives you more options. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to place this in support with that action you gave me.
Okay, and then I just realized that her flaming firepower is that I can refresh one exhausted spell in front of me or in front of another player. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to refresh growth, and then I'm going to cast growth again.
That's a good idea.
I'm going to draw a fire card, and I'm going to go ahead and spend 3 fire to buy a 3.
That was good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good power. That's a good power. All right. And with that, I'm going to do my recuperation phase. I'm going to draw 6 cards. 2, 3, 4. Now at this point, because I can't draw the last 2 cards out of my deck, I'm going to add a madness card into my discard pile. I'm going to shuffle.
Yeah, you cycle through decks really fast, and you'll end up with quite a few madness cards that way. It's rough.
And that was 4, 5, 6. And I ended up with the madness card back in my hand. And that's the thing about the madness cards is they take up a spot. But that's fine. That gives me something to get rid of. And it is now your turn.
And I'm always getting this. You can't actually, like at the end of your turn, you could discard cards if you wanted to. But you can't discard madness cards. They just sit there chewing up your hand size.
You cannot discard.
Oh, gosh. That's awful.
Any cards.
Oh, I thought you could.
Only if you're over 6.
Rough.
If you have something that lets you discard, you can discard.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. All right, so actually, here I want to ask for some of your input. Should I spend the 3 green, which, does not make me so strong to beat that curse? Oh, and actually, the book has to go forward now.
It does go forward.
Yeah, so now it goes to the 2 spot.
And what happens?
We got to do this thing. Each player receives 1 madness in their discard pile. Fantastic. Oh, it's something I don't know if we mentioned it. If the madness deck, if we use up all the cards,
Yes. If this is empty,
yeah, the game's over.
the game's over.
We're throughout the game. We got to constantly be managing this and trying to get them. One of these spells here, right? They cure it, or is that just an action we get?
It's an action. So on here, one of our actions is to heal ourselves.
Yeah.
So you discard any 2 of an element, and then you can discard a madness card from your hand or discard pile. I think maybe just your hand. You get other spells that help you to get things out of your discard pile as well.
Yeah, and then when you heal yourself, you put the madness card back into the madness deck. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Do you think I should spend the 3 green to buy a 3 green? Doesn't really help us out this round, but it helps us out in the future. It's kind of a rough choice. I mean, all we'd be avoiding is each player receives 1 madness.
You're not going to be able to solve this no matter what, correct?
Let's see.
Before it happens.
It goes to your turn. Yeah. It's going to kick off.
Then spend it.
Okay. Spend my 3 green. I'm going to grab a 3 green element card that goes into my discard pile. And that's it. That's all I get to do this round. So I'm going to go ahead and draw back up to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I had just 6. So no new mass cards for me just yet. Oh, look at that. I can beat the white.
Oh, excellent. Oh, so this is important. All right, now that your turn is done, then first step, concentration phase. So I'm going to flip this spell back over. Step 2, the monster phase. So here, this is a little unfortunate. So this, we thought we were going to get away without the curses both going off, but at the 3 phase, this is very easy to miss. Trust us. Both of these curses go off. So the third is just horrible. So at this point, each player receives 1 madness in their discard pile. And the air curse goes off. Each player destroys the top card of their deck. Life card.
I don't have a top card of my deck. Do you think I get away with that, or do I need to shuffle and get a top card?
You do have to shuffle.
At this point, I don't have a top card.
Yeah, but you have to. Which means you add another madness card into your...
Oh, yeah. Well, it's just increasing the chances of me getting a madness card that I destroy.
Now, here's something that's very important. Things that are destroyed go in a destroyed pile. Do not put these back in the box and think you don't need them again. At some point later in the game, some of these monsters do say that you use your destroyed pile. And that was a sad game when...
Oh, damn.
Wow.
That's not good.
That's not good.
No.
Because we're not great with life anyways. Okay, so now it's the action phase. Now, here's where we have to decide. If you destroy this life curse, I mean, these curses have already happened, right? So if you destroy this life curse, you do get a 2 of your choice. So you could take a 2 life.
I think that's worth it.
Okay, then what I'm going to do, because I don't have anything else to do with this life, and I want to cycle my hand, is I'm going to spend an air and cast telepathy on you.
Okay, so I'll oh, I didn't even count right. So I got 4 white here.
Okay.
So that's enough to beat that curse.
Yep.
So that one's just gonna go. What does that go at the bottom of the deck or back in the box? I can't remember.
They go on the bottom of the deck.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So we'll put that there. And now when you defeat a curse, this is just a rule. When you defeat the curse, you get to pick a level 2 element card
of any color.
All right. Now, I did just get an element 3 green. You've got red covered. How are you look? Blue, we're pretty weak on blue.
Apparently, I'm not really good at anything except
Right.
a little bit of life and fire.
So I'm thinking I'm going to take a blue.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so now my turn continues, and this is actually why they give. We have never really been good about passing the player token around, but because play can alternate between players, it can make sense just to remind yourself who is the active player. So at this point, I can cure my madness, so 2 mana.
Oh, definitely.
Any 2 madness to cure madness, so let's go ahead and do that. And then let's look, it only costs 2 to get a spell. Discard 1 madness, then for each madness you discarded, draw 2 cards. This is warm-blooded. That could be very good. In fact, no. Do I want it? You can only have 5 spells at any time. So at some point, you have to decide, are you going to...
You're going to have to swap spells out.
Swap spells
and
out,
probably some of your starting spells, but your starting spells are pretty good too. So it's a difficult choice sometimes.
So I could get a 3 fire, or I can get a spell. I'm going to go with the spell because I want to see...
What does the spell do?
It lets me discard 1 madness card for 1 fire mana, and then draw 2 cards back up. Which means that later in the game when we have a lot of madness cards...
I would do it.
Yeah, so I'm going to spend 2 red mana. I'm going to take Warm-Blooded. And now I have my 5 spells. This is all I can have for the moment. And then let's see what the next fire spell is. It's called Cauterization. Heal up to 2 madness cards from your discard pile or your support. So that could be really good.
That's huge. That can be really good.
And... And that's it. I have one left. I'm going to recuperation phase. I'm going to draw back up. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And concentration phase for you.
We can get that first player token.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What?
You know what we didn't do?
What is that?
No, we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're covered.
Yeah. All right. Good.
First player token. Okay.
So there's no curses at this point.
But we still keep going. It has to get to page 5, and past page 5 until before we get to the okay. So let's see. What am I going to do? I can nothing worth destroying. Can you heal from your discard pile? Well, that doesn't even
Not
matter.
only if you had a.
Yeah, I don't have anything to heal. Oh, I know. Check this one out. The essence of the earth. One other player chooses one card from their discard pile and places it on the top of their deck.
Wow.
So I can help you start feeding 3s to the top of your deck. Anything you've got.
Yeah, that's strong.
I think that's worth it.
I love the life cards.
The fire cards are good too if they allow us to keep the madness under control.
Yes.
So yeah, buy it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get that. That's all I'm going to really do.
What is your power again?
During your turn, you can the Harry Potter guy's power is during your turn you can draw one card. If it's a madness card, cure it. Otherwise, discard it.
Okay.
And I've got about 3 madness cards in my deck right now.
I say go for it. This is your power. This is Harry Potter fighting the darkness.
Yeah, well, what's the worst that's going to happen? I just start discarding cards. I don't have a bunch of 3s. It's not like I got a lot to lose. Oh, hey.
Done.
And that goes straight to the cure.
That's why he's on the cover.
Great call. Fantastic call. Okay. So, draw back up to... Oh, wow. Discard for days. Get back up to 6. At least I can cure one of them next round. It's kind of rough, but...
Yeah.
At least I have the mana to cure it, so...
Okay. And so, concentration phase, I get my spell back. This book moves forward. Now at this point, I am not good with water, but you're going water, is that?
I have a little bit. I got a 2 water to help us out there.
Huh. You know, I might also get a 2 water just because...
To round yourself out a little bit?
Yeah, place 1 card from your discard pile in support. That's a strong spell.
Oh, I don't know if you want to be...
But I don't have the ability to cast it because I don't have enough.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to...
You can buy more fire and keep being a monster.
So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to spend 3 to buy a 3.
You can spend that too to...
Sorry.
Oh, no, that goes to your discard pile. When you buy an element, it has to go to your discard pile. That's
and
right.
then telepathy for you?
You give me an action. I'll just do what I'm going to do anyways.
Okay.
Move a little bit faster. So you use telepathy?
I did.
All right, since I have 2 green, I'll spin both of those, and that lets me cure 1, right? So put that madness back there. That's it. That's all I'm going to use the telepathy for.
All right, recuperation phase. 1, 2, 3. Add a madness card to my discard pile.
You got to shuffle again?
Got to shuffle again.
Yeah. All right, and the book now, the book page flips now, right?
It does.
Yep. Okay, now we got to do, since we didn't beat the monster, we didn't beat every curse.
Yep.
We got to do the bad thing. Each player discards their hand, then draws 5. Oh, it draws only 5 cards instead of 6.
All right.
And it's actually going to introduce another madness card to me too. 2. So since I have to shuffle my deck, draw that madness card, add it. Oh boy! But I did pull up my 3 green, so it's going to help a little bit.
I had a fantastic hand. I had 2s. I had 2s and 3s. I was set. I was ready. But it's done. These are just discarded.
Oh, and you know what? I had a fire and a madness card, so I could have discarded that madness card. Just discard it, right? No, I could destroy
Could've
it.
destroyed it.
They destroyed it, which
Sometimes
you
makes
don't want to
sense.
destroy too many because you got to have something to draw from, or you lose the game.
Yep.
But destroying some doesn't hurt.
Yep. All right. So that is the end of the gelatinous cube. We failed to put it back into the book. So
Oh, and the hatipo.
and that goes to the number 2 as we go to the next.
We can see here the 2. It's still
Yeah.
blank, so we're not going to add any curses.
Yeah, not any curses on top of what the monster
Yeah,
itself
exactly.
brings. So that's it. We for the next turn, for your turn, we would flip the monster because it's right here, and then he would immediately move to the 1. That's all it does. This flips the page, moves to the 1, and then you keep playing. The important thing to keep in mind is we failed to beat the gelatinous cube. It doesn't matter. Not so much. We're a little hurt.
Yeah, we're starting off in a weaker position,
Yes.
but like we haven't lost yet by any stretch.
All right, so that's how you play the Big Book of Madness. So that's your setup. Hopefully you all join us for our Let's Play of the Big Book of Madness. All right, thanks everyone. Game on.